Greetings in Jesus' name. This is Jacob Ninan from Bangalore, India. I'm happy to bring you another message in the series Pointers Along the Way. These look at practical aspects of the Christian life and are sent out weekly, God willing, also through email, WhatsApp, and Facebook. You can read all my previous messages as well as articles and books on my website called Comfort and Counsel at www.c-n-c.org. May the Lord bless you as you read or listen. If you wish, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and also tell others about it. This is pointer number 817 and its title is Wisdom from Above. Wisdom, or the ability to know the right thing to do in any situation, is something we all need and something that can be missing in many situations. Many times we realize what we should have done after we have done something wrong and when we thought over it. We may generally admit our need for wisdom, but it is not usually something that we can receive instantaneously, even though it has happened in rare cases like that of Solomon when he asked God for it. Jesus was anointed with the spirit of wisdom. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 2. The Spirit of the Lord will rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and strength, the spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. This spirit of wisdom gives us insight that enables us to see and understand things in different situations that usually escapes the notice of many others. Psalm 119, verse 99. I have more insight than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation. This is something we need to constantly seek for more and more of it. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. The beginning of wisdom is acquire wisdom, and with all your acquiring, get understanding. Proverbs 16:16. How much better it is to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding is to be chosen above silver. We will begin to seek it only when we realize and admit how we lack it. And even then, we ought to be prepared for a lifelong pursuit after wisdom, along with the regular admission when we make a mistake. There are some characteristics that stand out in a person who grows in wisdom. One is the fear or reverence or respect of the Lord. Psalm 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all who do his commandments. His praise endures forever. It is not just to fear the consequences if we go against his wisdom, but to recognize God as the supreme wise person and to submit to him. This is very relevant to understand these days when many Christians seem to pay more attention to what the experts say, even at the cost of overriding what God says in his word. We need to examine ourselves to see what kind of wisdom we are looking for. Ultimately, wisdom should help us to understand what the will of God is in any situation and then do it. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore, I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. There is a wisdom that is worldly or even demonic, that is opposed to the wisdom that comes from God. James chapter 3, verses 14 and 15. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not be arrogant and so lie against the truth. This wisdom is not that which comes from above, but is earthly, natural, demonic. James talks about jealousy and selfish ambition in our heart that can block us from receiving wisdom from God. These are just two examples here. The anger of man or any fleshly attitude or desire in our heart can prevent us from getting the wisdom of God. James chapter 1, verse 20. For the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. In order to grow in true wisdom, we have to make sure that our heart is tuned in a godly attitude. James chapter 3, verse 17. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, unwavering, without hypocrisy. This includes desiring to understand the will of God above everything else and to do it. Those who pursue after godly wisdom have to be prepared to be isolated from the so-called great people and experts of this world. Satan is who is influencing their mind, seeking to turn them away from God. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. These people may look down upon us, ostracize us, and even work to put down our influence on the others. But Jesus has placed us here as the salt and light of the world. Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 and 14. You are the salt of the earth, and if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. We must not allow the world to beat down our voice. As the time draws towards the end, darkness will increase over the earth as godly wisdom gets replaced by demonic wisdom in the public places. But the rare ones who exhibit godly insight will become obvious, even though some may fall. Daniel chapter 11, verses 33 and 35. Those who have insight among the people will give understanding to the many. Yet they will fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity and by plunder for many days. Some of those who have insight will fall in order to refine, purge, and make them pure until the end time, because it is still to come at the appointed time. May the Lord bless you in your life as you have listened to these words. Thank you.